What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well, having a good Friday. We're back for another match. We're back for another press conference. The matches keep coming thick and fast, Flex. And given everything that's been going on over the course of the last few days, this is something that, speaking for myself, I was certainly very interested to see what questions were asked to Ralph Rangnick, how he would respond to certain questions. So we're going to get into it. We're going to get into the nitty-gritty because, of course, we're playing Leeds. It's a derby game this weekend. Maybe Rangnick himself didn't really have much awareness of how much of a derby it was, but it is a derby nevertheless. The first time Manchester United are playing Leeds at Ellen Road in front of a capacity crowd since I think it's 2003. I think that's the last time it was. So we're talking nearly 20 years. So it's been a long time coming. I'm very excited. We'll get into the questions. We'll get through the team news one because the big one is the one after the team news one. So we'll start off with some team news and injury updates when it comes to the game on Sunday. Ralph Rangnick confirmed, quote, "As it seems, Edison Cavani will still be out. He's still having some problems with his groin and his stomach." Talks about playing against Leeds. He says playing against... Oh, that's a question. So, Edison Cavani's out, groin and stomach problems. Flex. I saw Cavani back in training yesterday.
That's what I was going to say.
I thought, Cavani's back, but apparently not. It feels like Groundhog Day. We're talking about Cavani and his fitness record again. What do you make of that?
Mate, honestly, it's like every week there's something different in it with Cavani. Like he's never fit for a sustained period of time. You know, he's done well, actually, to be fair. And I'm not discrediting him because, I've been there, I've seen the moments and we've enjoyed the moments he's given us. But he's done well to have like this love off the fans. Like we love him and like sing the song and we really buy into him. Fucking hardly ever plays.
I know. Exactly.
Hardly ever plays, bro. Like when he does, like even recently, he hasn't been great. The period before that injury, he was good. Scored a couple goals and that. Passion and, running around and desire and closing people down. Obviously got the assist for the goal against West Ham when we won in the last minute. So he's the player that if we had Cavani 5 years ago, we'd be getting the real deal. But unfortunately, it was just always going to go this way, innit? I think again, I don't really get angry at him. It's more, this is the situation we're in. We've got a 37-year-old and a 34-year-old, 35-year-old, whatever it is, that can't really stay fit. But everybody loves him though. When he plays, he always gives his all. But I do think he's a bit sometime-ish. I do think that.
And also as well, I like it that in the week that a report was saying that some people at the club feel like we should play two up front, it's like, how? how would we do that, right? And don't get me wrong, I've said it several times on the channel that I wanted two up front. I was saying, get Ronaldo two up front, but it's like, but the guy that would be playing next to him, he don't play. He don't play that often. And, even though he's back in training, obviously it's a case of either he's not ready, that groin issue is worse, or they're saying it's groin and illness. So I think we just kind of have to come to the conclusion Cavani's going to be in and out for the remainder of the season. He's going to be a bench player, probably a super sub when he's on the bench. But apart from that, he's not the guy certainly that we can rely on for the remainder of the season. And I think that's the situation there. But let's move on though. Now we've got that out of the way. Let's move on to the next question. There was a big question about how Rangnick and playing Leeds and stuff like that. We'll get through that quickly. Rangnick said, quote, "When it comes to Leeds, whenever they pass the ball, they're trying to increase the tempo of the game. Another thing, they're very man-orientated. They play with the highest amount of speed, momentum, tempo. We need to stop them doing that. Equally," and this was such a jinx. I mean, I thought of you straight away when he said this. He said, "Equally, they concede a lot. Only Norwich have conceded more. We are well prepared to play for 90 minutes and stick to the game plan." I was like, oh no, Ralph. They concede a lot. Wait for the goalkeeper now. I mean, how are you feeling going into the Leeds game?
On a football side, when you break it down, tactically and how both teams play, etc. Our record against Leeds since they've come up, smashed them twice at Old Trafford, then 0-0 at Ellen Road with no fans. You lean more towards we'll get chances. You ride out the difficult moments that you have against Leeds because they play in waves, especially from the start. They'll probably come at us. They have a man for man all over, high press. But but they're very naive. They have one way of playing and one way of playing only. And if it doesn't work or they concede from it, they go again and do exactly the same thing in exactly the same way. And they don't tweak anything. Having said that, that's the football side of it. In terms of the emotional side of it, like you said, we've smashed them at Old Trafford, once with fans, once without. When we went to Ellen Road, we drew 0-0, bit of a bore fest when there was no fans.
It was nothing.
And now there's fans there, bro. Like, I know we'll embrace it and stuff like that. And it doesn't mean necessarily that Leeds will just be, prime Barcelona. But I don't think they'll be as poor as they can be for as long as they can be. Do you see what I mean? Like,
yeah. I mean, that 0-0 game, that crowd won't have that. That crowd will not have that game. That's it's almost impossible that would happen. And that's a jinx, but it's almost impossible that would happen because the crowd, if that game was so dull to watch, I think I even spoke to you afterwards, and it was just like, what happened in that game? Nothing. And the crowd, they'll be so up for it that they'll just be like, nah, we won't have that. So I think there'll be more intensity to the game as well, a couple more challenges,
which doesn't mean, like I said, just because the crowd's there, doesn't mean they're going to win. It doesn't mean they're going to definitely play better, but it just raises the stakes. And it's more of a question to our players. Do you know what I mean? When we've had the crowd there, we've played against them with the crowd at Old Trafford, which is massive. First game of the season, wasn't it this year? Yeah, it was.
Exactly.
A lifetime ago. I can't believe. Yeah, I forgot that was even the season. What Pogba with the 4 assists that game, Bruno hat-trick.
Exactly.
Yeah. So and then the game before that, when there was no fans, Scott McTominay started off really well, scored 2 goals straight away, didn't he? And then we just smashed them. So yeah, this is another banana skin, man. This is another banana skin. Like you said, you can say they concede loads of goals, they give chances up, they do, but we have to be at our best to be able to exploit that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. So we got through that, and that's the thing that everyone was like, that's how you start off these press conferences, right? You don't really go for the jugular right away. You start off, what's the team news looking like? Any injuries, any illnesses? What do you think about the opponent? They get that one out of the way, and then we get into the question. That's why I've been stumbling over these questions, because I just want to get to this one.
Yeah.
So the question came from Michael Gray, and to be honest, it was going to come from whoever was the person that was asking the second question. But he asked Ralph, obviously you're aware of the speculation about the captaincy between Ronaldo, Maguire, and yourself. Have those reported conversations happened? Is there going to be a change? And Ralph categorically said, laid his cards on the table. He said, quote, I must say it is absolute nonsense. I have never spoken with any player about a possible change in captaincy. It's me who decides who is the captain, and I don't have to talk to anyone else about that. Harry is our captain. He will stay our captain. So if you will indulge me for a second here, Flex, I have a lot of feelings on this one. I know we've spoken off the air about this. And for me, and I'll throw it to you in a second, but for me, when that report came out yesterday, and it was kind of ironic because I'd just been talking to DJ here on the channel about the Rashford situation that happened 24 hours prior. And that when a report comes out, do your own critical thinking. Look at it, go do the taste test. Do I believe this? Where is it coming from? What's the timing of this? Maybe do I need to read up on this a bit further? Is anyone else saying this as well? That's important. Are other outlets saying this? And when that report first came out yesterday, I said to myself, I went, I just don't know. And this is no disrespect to the guy that reported it, but I went, I don't know if I really trust that outlet. I'm not sure if I really buy that. I was like, okay, is everyone else saying this? And no one else was saying this at the time. And I thought, well, let's park it. Let's wait and see if someone else says it, and then we can talk about it a bit further. And I felt that this was almost an evolution of the confirmation bias we've seen in these situations where it's I've made my mind up and I'm going to sort of seek out sources that confirm what I already believe to be true. And since then, and then it unraveled even further with Maguire posting out afterwards that, he'd been with the kid River, who you yourself have met, and, having the meetup and the kickabout. And to see the response to that tweet filled with Ronaldo's my captain, Cristiano Ronaldo should have the captaincy, Cristiano Ronaldo, you shouldn't be the captain, give up the captaincy, frankly, in my opinion, was disgraceful. I'll call it as it is. I thought that was disgraceful because you read the room, you leave football at the door and say, that's got, that's a kid who is making, him and his family having memories that they'll cherish forever, right? They are making the best out of a horrible situation there. And for people to come in and start going, Cristiano Ronaldo this, Cristiano Ronaldo that, I thought was horrific. I thought was absolutely horrific. And then I look at going back to the football part of it. I look at people go, well, he's not responding to it. This morning, Harry Maguire responds to it. And then you get people say, PR, it's PRFC, social media FC. And my point of view is, and I'm not saying I want Harry Maguire to be the captain. I'm not defending Harry Maguire and saying that he's the best person for this job at the club. I think there are better options. And his performances have been poor. And I don't think he should be the captain. I've said that several times. But he can't win. He categorically cannot win. Because if he comes out and defends himself, PR. If he doesn't defend himself, smoke without fire. And it frustrated me. It really frustrated me. And that's why I'm ranting now. What do you think, Flex?
Yeah, it does. It's the media, isn't it? It's the Twitter. It's the Twitter kind of, realm where the negativity sells. And of course, you can say there's no smoke without fire, and there's probably some dressing room unrest, and there probably should be because we're playing shit and we're not in a position we want to be. But I just think it's got to the stage where we're just getting completely fabricated stories that match what the majority of the fan base would want to happen, which is the Maguire not get the captaincy, but it matches going against that. So that's going to generate the most interest. If I'm a journalist, right, and I need to write my story and I need to put something out that day, you're going to go with that. You know what I mean? But if you're a fan, I just think, like I said, we get used all the time as fans, not just Man United fans. It happens in other clubs as well. But in terms of our club, whether it's positive or negative, if Man United are in the media, if they're in the algorithm, if they're in the searches, if they're trending, it's all of these things, clicks and read-throughs and likes and all these things. If Man United are in it, then the chances are a publication is going to do very well. And I just feel like, I met that little River, and I've been speaking to his dad ever since. And the reason, and this is why I was so disgusted about what I saw, and some people might not see it like this because they only care about Maguire being the captain and can't see past it, and that's up to you. But for me, I spoke to him before the players even walked in. He was at the side of the pitch at Burnley, right? And he introduced himself to me. He said, "Hi, man, this is my little son, River. He's going through this. This is what we've done." He was showing me emails saying, like, this isn't just about River. I want to see other kids. Like, we've met some kids, and they won't mind me sharing this. We've seen some other kids where River's getting treated, going through the same thing what he's going through. We've written to those clubs to see if we can get like the young kids to go and have a look with the players and go meet the players. We want to change kids' lives through football. I said, that's unbelievable, man.
Yeah,
that's wicked.
Amazing.
So that's the background of the story. And then as the players were walking in, I've then said, we need to get River some pictures, man. Then each player that's kind of been walking past, like Ronaldo wasn't even really going to take any pictures or anything. Karen was walking with him. I said, Ronnie, can little man get a picture? I said, Paul, can little man I was helping direct the players to make sure they see little River. He was waiting there, wanted to meet all the players. And people, it's almost like people are like, then that gets shared because the players have literally made this little boy's, day or week or night. Yeah. And it's like, I know, forget about the little boy who's fighting cancer and winning right now. Yeah. You're not my captain. And I'm just like, okay, is the problem with me? Because actually, why should I be surprised? Because this is what social media is. Or no, how do I call out these people? And I'm just like, wow. This is away from the lie of the actual thing, and I'll get to that bit. But in terms of what made me so angry,
because it snowballed. It all just
100%. And then I had to see. Then I'm seeing River's dad replying to tweets in the middle of stuff saying, "We don't want any of this. Like, we're just trying to like make River's dreams come true, like, and give him hope." And his dad said to me, he said, "I let River see that this is his best medicine. Little lad's doing chemo and stuff, but this is his best medicine. Getting a football, doing some tricks, getting out there, seeing football matches, meeting his heroes. That's his son's best medicine." That stuck with me. And I'm like, people then take that and use it as a chance to kind of, say to themselves, "I knew it. Yeah, Maguire's just doing this because of that." And I'm just like, are you really? Wow. Even if you think that, why not just keep that to yourself? And why? Where's the sensitivity to say River's dad and his mum are literally having to see a fan base like, arguing, saying you're basically using his son. You're using his sick son who is fighting with all he's got to beat cancer for your PR to insinuate that. And I just thought it was disgusting. And it's not just because personally, like I said, I had that, encounter with River and his dad and his mum, and can see their story, and I've been speaking to them since. But I just thought that was disgusting. Having been part of helping him see those players, I just thought, it was disgusting. But back to the story, the players are damned if they do, damned if they don't. There's been things that come out where something, like you said, you can see there's an element of truth, and you've got to make your own mind up. And like I think you said it best on the last show we last done together, where it's like sieving for gold. And it's like you have to go through all the stuff to find something in there where there is something. But for me personally, I just think that, Ralph Rangnick's had a conversation with Harry about taking the captaincy off him. Well, this is obviously bollocks. It just is. It just is. Again, I'm not saying that, yes, Maguire is the most qualified, and I'm happy with that. You guys know my feelings on that. You guys know my feelings on Harry Maguire, the footballer, at Manchester United level. But I'm certainly not just going to believe, one, the Christian Falk, who literally a few months ago was telling us that Ralph Rangnick is categorically not going to be the Man United manager. False.
Yeah.
Then he had to say,
not true.
Actually true. Not true, cross. But all of a sudden we're believing him over our own Marcus Rashford. Does that mean I think Marcus Rashford's playing well? Does that mean I'm Marcus Rashford PR? No, it means I've got a brain. Like, that's just how I saw it. And then, like you say, when the players do defend themselves, because, if they come out and respond to stuff, we say, you shouldn't, just leave it. It's corny. Don't say this, don't say that. And if they don't, they say, well, it's not denying it. Brought your name through the mud. They're damned if they do, damned if they don't. So I just think we have to be really careful, especially like us as well. We've got big platforms. I just think you've got to be really careful not to kind of push stuff onto people where you don't know. You literally don't know. Like,
stick to the facts.
Yeah. And I'm just like, there could be people in there completely disagree with me and say, Flex, how do you know it isn't true though? How do you know? And okay, fair enough. That's fine. I'm choosing to go this way with it. But for me, I think it's really dangerous when we start stepping into believing every single thing because we kind of want it to be true. Let's face it.
So it's confirmation bias. That is literally confirmation bias.
We all want that to be true in terms of, you know what? I actually hope Ralph Rangnick is doing that. That suits my ears. That suits my eyes. Reading that makes me happy because actually then maybe Maguire won't be captain anymore. Have you ever thought that maybe that's why the journalists have written it in that way and come up with that story at this time?
They read social media. I mean, they read social media and they can see where things are going and maybe where they, what stories would maybe do the best. And again, I really think it's important to stress. I'm not, and I don't want to speak for you, Flex, but it's not out of like a complete defense of Maguire. It's not, or a defense of his role as the captain. It's not. I look at it more as more of a defense of maybe the truth. Find if you can find it in there, or again, look at things from a critical point of view. And if you do, and you still come to the same conclusion of I don't think whatever, then fine, then okay, but. You can't believe everything you read, but at the same time not believe everything you read. That's what I don't understand by it. If a journalist writes something, it has to be true. If a player or the club says something, it absolutely cannot be true. Life does not work.
And that's where we are. That's where we are with the players that you don't necessarily like. Do you see what I'm saying? Yeah. They can do no right. They can do no
right.
Chad October says James is going to gas Maguire. Yeah, I forgot Dan James plays at Leeds. That's going to be interesting. And Roddy Romero says, big up Owen and Flex. It's my birthday today. Big up. Happy birthday, Roddy. Happy birthday, bro. Everyone wish Roddy a happy birthday. I see some people have done that already in the comments, but make sure you do it as well. Big up to you. And Frank Lucas says, this is why he shouldn't be captain. Too much mess. Frank Lucas, I think the reason why he shouldn't be captain is because of the footballing aspect of it. Just look at what the reason why I don't think Harry Maguire should be captain is because I look at Brian Robson, I look at Roy Keane, I look at past captains of that ilk. You say Beckham's, whatever, Vidic. You look at some of the top captains we've had. Back in the day through to now, they're proper. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. That's the level.
His performances and his ability don't match the standard of a Manchester United captain, in my opinion. And I'm pretty sure you agree with that, Owen. And so I think that's the reason why he shouldn't be captain. Not because on social media it just causes a stir every time you mention Harry Maguire. For me, I get the too much mess, Frank. I get what you're saying, but the mess I think is coming away from his ability and then going on like lies and falsifying things that are happening that are not happening. I think if we have the opinion that he shouldn't be the captain, I think it should be based off of the football and stuff. Like there you go. Joven says he can't lead Flex. Valid criticism.
And I don't think you or I are disagreeing with that. Again, that would be part of my reasons to say that he shouldn't be the captain. My point of view is, and again, I think we have to constantly look at these things in context. When you saw that report last night, if you looked at that and went absolutely 100% credible, I can't believe that. If it was multiple outlets saying the same thing, I go, wow, obviously that conversation has been held. But I didn't. I saw people see a story that was questionable at best and people run with it because that in their mind, they've already made their mind up and that fits where they want to go with it. And I think, again, it's really important. Like with the Christian Folk thing, like with the thing last night, ask yourself some questions. Look at things from a critical point of view. And from the flip side of things, when Ralph Rangnick comes out and says absolute nonsense, when Marcus Rashford says absolute nonsense, when Harry Maguire says absolute nonsense, don't just go PR, 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 PR. Look at it and go, okay, is it maybe PR? Or do I actually believe, you know what, they're defending themselves because only one person said it. And you know what? That doesn't happen that often. And then again,
and this wasn't
they
everybody.
don't come out. Yeah,
I just see a lot of people say keep it separate, keep it separate, and we shouldn't confuse the two. And it wasn't everybody, but there was just a lot. And I just thought, I don't know, man. I was like, am I missing something? Am I going crazy? Like, what happened to? Where's the world at? A little lad,
exactly.
Little boys
and
fighting.
Then, like you said,
winning.
when it spilled over into that, that's when I got really upset by it because I was just like, that's just wrong. We're not talking about matters on the pitch at that point. We're not talking about, oh, he's not my captain, whatever. We're talking about making memories, helping someone and a family through a difficult situation, not just the kid and his family as well. We're talking inspiring people too that might be going through similar situations. We're talking about River and his family, their journey to make that more accessible for other people in a similar situation. And you're muddying it, frankly, with petty Manchester United football matters about who should be the captain or not. There are bigger and more important things in life, and they shouldn't be messed around with stuff like that. The thought of River's family putting something out like that, and then being flooded with messages from people on social media about captaincy and Cristiano Ronaldo horrified me. Absolutely.
And then had to say, I think Rivers, we don't want any of this, mate. We just want to
it's not PR,
justifying through the mud, just to say, no, like the club's just been really good to us. So what does every fan, let me ask you this then. Do you think, are you disappointed in the club having values and embracing a young, sick, young boy who's fighting and making his dreams then? Are we saying that as fans then? Is that what we're doing? Because then we're so wrapped up in saying it's PR and this and that. We're basically saying like the club we don't agree with the club's values then. What should they have not have made Rivers' dreams come true and let him meet a whole bunch of players and come in for the day and spend time with the captain of Manchester United? We might not agree that Harry Maguire is the captain, but he's gone to meet the most senior player at the that is part of your captain duties. Like if you're going to do something like that, meet on behalf of the squad. I'm here to represent Manchester United to meet the little man and make his dreams. Do you know what I mean? And give him a signed shirt from all the players. That's your job as the captain. So should Manchester United not have done it then? And then people were saying obviously it was the timing of it because it just came out of, okay, well, he went to see him that day though. If you go and look on the socials,
Rivers, the original tweet from Rivers' family comes, I think, maybe half an hour before or something like that. And it's just and again, you see all these other posts of River, all these other people, they're not flooded with, again, just negative stuff. And you can start talking about, well, that's the circus surrounding the club. That doesn't matter at that point. That doesn't matter. And it made me, like I said, very angry, very frustrated. And I just thought, that's so sad. That is really sad. Forget about if you're talking about a report that's questionable anyway, but for that to spill over into something that's far more important and serious, I just thought was wrong. I really did. And I think more needs to be sort of said about that. I really do. And it was just, very frustrating.
It was.
By the way, guys, Josh has been putting a link in the chat
just about to say that,
to join the Discord. I think there might be a Yeah, there might be a link
don't
put
know.
into the description as well, so you can join the Discord. We're going places, Flex. We're expanding the community.
Doing the
If you
community,
want to
man.
discuss, if you want to discuss all things Manchester United with the fellow people here in the community of United View, you can go on the Discord. That is up and running. So be sure to join. Click the link and have a chat. Enjoy things. Discuss. There's always something to discuss. Super chat from David G says, "Why Ronaldo? De Gea has been our best player the majority of the time at our club, and he's more vocal now. He'll be here after Ronaldo goes." I think, look, there are certainly better options. And again, to bring it more back to like the original discussion when it comes to captaincy, David, appreciate the contribution. Absolutely. I don't think anyone would really deny that there are probably better options for the captaincy at the club. I don't think there would be a lot of people that would disagree with maybe Harry Maguire isn't the right guy to be the captain at the club also. But, Ralph Rangnick's kind of said his point. And also when you think about it, Flex, if you take a step back and you say, Ralph Rangnick's an interim manager, does he necessarily even have the authority to make a footballing decision that affects the club as a whole?
It's one you're gonna. Again, we don't like it. I don't necessarily like it because I want it to be changed as well. But in the short term, is he really going to do that when he doesn't even know if he's going to be here the next time, and then it has to change again and then again? Like it's just things just don't work how we think they work when we're fans. Like that's just the reality of it. Like on FIFA, it's as easy as going across to the thing, pressing X on that player and putting it on that player. Do you know what I mean? Like, and
yeah,
it just, I don't know, man. I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot in like the last couple of years, spending time with players off the pitch, who are past and present, understanding the game a little bit better, away from like just being a fan. I just understand things, and I just think it's so hard to kind of how we want things to happen and when we want them to happen, when we can see what's wrong.
Yeah.
Like we get outraged, and then social media plays on that, and then plays on actually our emotions to grab us in, and that's how the social media train keeps going, stays on the tracks and picks up speed.
Like I said,
do you see what I'm saying?
It was one of the questions that I put in my tweet when I was talking about reports. Ask yourself, why is this story come out now? The next day comes out after we beat Brighton.
Yeah.
Comes out about people not liking Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
And again, and I don't mean it to criticize the journalists, because they also, again, this is how it works, guys. They have a job to do. They have to write a certain amount of articles. They have to write a certain amount of things. They've got people to answer to as well. And sometimes people confuse maybe opinion with actual fact as well. And again, I don't mean that to criticize them, but you have to look at these things and ask yourself these questions. There was an element of positivity coming out about Manchester United after the win in the week, and then straight away it's well. It might be positive, but the dressing room's divided and they don't like Cristiano Ronaldo. Ronaldo's just scored. And again, I'm not saying everything's not true also, but and this goes beyond football, but you have to ask yourself these questions, especially in this modern day age where there is an abundance of information out there. We've never had so much information at your fingertips. You've never had so many things, reports, news stories at your fingertips. You always have to question things, look at things from a critical point of view. Say, do I believe it? Why are they saying this? All this kind of stuff, because as with everything, the truth kind of lies somewhere in between it all, and you can't believe everything you read. But that's the Maguire thing. We'll move on to the next question, Flex, because we could literally talk about that all day. I don't know about you. We really could.
Could be that.
Next question was from Rob Dawson. Spoke about a big Champions League game coming up in midweek, being Atletico Madrid. But because of the situation in the league, are the league games more important than the Champions League games? Ralph Rangnick said no. He said, quote, "We have to play one after another. The Leeds game is important. To stay where we are in the table, we have to win that game. Then against Atletico Madrid in the Champions League, we want to proceed in that competition." He also spoke about having more players available. He's grateful that we've got more players available. He said Nemanja Matic was back available again. He did quite well in training. He maybe could be available for Leeds on Sunday, but definitely the next two games, we'll take it one by one. We tried to start with a starting 11 where we are convinced we can win the next game. So where do you lay on that one, Flex? When it comes to the importance of the games, do you think the league games are maybe more important than our upcoming Champions League ties? It's a tough question.
It is a tough question because you can say on one hand that, listen, mate, probably not going to win the Champions League or whatever. We've got to get top four. We've got to get top four. But at the same time, I'm sorry, when you're Man United, which we are, and our standards have already fallen enough, they can't be falling to the standards where we're saying, oh yeah, now we need to try and get top 4 against Leeds, man. Let's rest some. We're in the Champions League round of 16 away
Yeah, and
to
we're
Atletico
aiming to
Madrid,
be in the Champions League, even though
and we're
we're in
aiming
it.
to be in it. You know what I mean? And it's the only competition we have a chance. We're in. It's the only other competition we're in. So this is Man United. Man United shouldn't be going anywhere and thinking, oh, I'll tell you what, I prefer this game. No, don't get me wrong. You might have to rotate because of injuries and because the game's just as quick. So you have to manage the squad accordingly. I agree with that. But you aim to play the strongest team you can possibly play in both. You don't say, oh, it's going to be a tough trip to Atletico. But we can't afford to drop any more points in the league. So we'll play a weakened side in the first leg against Atletico and then play the strongest team at Leeds. No. You play whoever's fit enough to play out of your best team. And if you have to make a change to one player because they're a little bit tired or a little niggle or something, then fine. But if they're fit, they're fit. Play, man. Play.
Exactly. And I know it's so cliche, and sometimes as a football fan, you roll your eyes when you hear managers say, well, we take it one game at a time and we just got to, go from this game to the next game. But in this case, especially when you've got a game every 2 or 3 days, you really do have to. And I don't think that maybe you could argue maybe the league is more important in terms of the long term for United, especially when it comes to next season and players coming in. That's probably fair. But it doesn't make any sense to me just to resign yourself. Well, we're not going to win the Champions League, so we're not going to take it seriously when we're still in it. I mean, the phrase is, if you're still in it, you still have a chance. I know it's very unlikely, and we're certainly not odds-on favourite to win the Champions League by any stretch of the imagination, but we're definitely not going to win it if we just say, oh, okay, but there's no point even trying. Who knows what could happen? Football's a weird game. And Atletico got their problems at the moment. They got their issues where they lost the bottom of the league. Their form's not great. They've got some COVID cases as well. So who's to say United can't get through? And like you said, at the end of the day, we talk about standards. We still are Manchester United. We still are, we might not be
try and win. Got to try and win it.
Exactly.
Like, can't go Atletico Madrid, hostile atmosphere. Do you know what I mean? That Luis Suarez running about, flipping, what's his name? João Felix, Carrasco, and Lamar, and all these
games that we're not going to win.
No Griezmann, do you know what I mean? To say, oh yeah, we're scared. This is still Man United. We've got flipping Ronaldo, we've got Rashford, we've got flipping not Martial, we ain't got him anymore. Sancho, Pogba, do you know what I mean? Bruno, we've got our own stars. That it's heavyweight, it's Champions League. Go and try and win the game, with the best players. If we lose, we lose.
And we're aiming to be there next season of where we are now in the Champions League competition. That's what we're trying to achieve. So, I don't know. I can understand the point of view of long term and players in the future, that kind of stuff. But you're still in the competition. You still have to.
100%. Whilst you're in it, you play your best team. 100%.
Exactly. Next question was from Tim Thornton. Goes back to the Harry Maguire situation, so we'll talk about it again. Saying Harry Maguire took to social media to hit out at the dressing room divide reports. Rashford did the same. How frustrated are you by this constant narrative? And also said, is the only way to answer it by getting consistent results on the pitch. Rangnick said, quote, I'm not frustrated because it's not the truth. Harry is my captain. It's not an issue and hasn't been an issue. My full focus is preparing the team in training for the next game.
So Ralph's doing PR as well. He's lying.
Yeah, well, Lex, he's a puppet. Obviously, he's a puppet because he didn't agree with what some people said, right? He also said, I have heard what is written. I can only tell you from my personal experience, there were players unhappy until the close of the window because the squad was too big and players weren't getting game time. The atmosphere in the dressing room is better than it was a few weeks ago for that reason. It's about performing well, togetherness on the pitch and winning games. They are the things we can influence. So, first of all, he says, well, I'm not really frustrated by the narrative because it's not true. I would be frustrated if it was true because I'd be like, there's a massive problem here, but it's not true. So it's a non-issue for me. And he also says were there people unhappy here? Have there been people unhappy here? Yeah, because they wanted to leave. And we resolved quite a few. They're basically saying, look, Martial was unhappy. We'll let him go. Donny van de Beek was unhappy. We let him go. Maybe we know the Jesse Lingard situation. We know the Dean Henderson situation, but he's saying the atmosphere is a bit better because 2 unhappy players are no longer here. And when they come back, they might be a bit happier. So, I mean, what did you think of that? From my point of view, I thought, well, I don't think you can answer the question much better, to be honest.
Simple. Yeah, he's saying basically, it's water off a duck's back, mate, because I don't care because it's bullshit. It's almost like that thing where, when you're younger and you might complain to your parents or your carers saying, they called me this, they lied on me, they called me that. And they'll say to you, well, are you? No,
Yeah.
but they said,
Yeah.
well, fine then, don't worry about it. Like, don't worry about it. Do you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's that fine margin of kind of what mood you're in, isn't it? Because sometimes you do what Rashford did or what Fred done that time. Maguire,
Yeah.
they've all had little turns of doing it, of defending their names. Pogba did it
Yeah.
earlier on when Ollie was here. So, you know, and it's like they let most things slide. Because if a player, like even Maguire said it, I'm not gonna like respond to everything. They let 98% of things just be.
Because that was a
footballers.
criticism,
Ronaldo
wasn't
done
it?
it.
That was a criticism. Why don't you respond to all of it? And it's got the case of that would take me all day if I
I'm
did
not
that.
going to
And
do
you wouldn't
that.
believe me anyway.
And you wouldn't believe me anyway. But then there's some times where, as a human being, you see so much people talking on your name and talking rubbish. We're all entitled to go, do you know what? I've had enough. This one's take it right. You can say that one about, you know, I don't know, I was feeling a bit tired. That's why I wasn't playing or whatever. But now you're just being silly. I need to say something. You know what I mean? There's a threshold you can go over it, and then it brings a player into a space where he's like, well, do you know what? And now I'm going to say something, and it either rubs people up, it either makes people say, oh, well, what about all the other ones you didn't say anything about, or it makes people say, well, fair enough. Now at least you put that one to bed, and it just depends how you see it. But me personally, with how Ralph's answered that, just shows it's not a thing again. But again, people can be saying, of course, he's going to say that because he's been prepped by the club. He's sat down with the media team and they've said, "Listen, just say it's lies. Tell the fans what they want to hear, or make it go away." If that's how you see the situation, I'm not here to unconvince you that. I'm just saying how I see it.
Because you made your mind up.
Because you've made your mind up, yeah. And I don't think you would change your mind back based on what a player says or what a manager says. You're going to think the way that you see it. But for me, I just thought you answered it the best way you should have, which is to say it's just nonsense.
Yeah, and I think it also goes back to you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't when it comes to the players responding to it. So often we ask for players to be more accessible, more direct, more transparent. When there's an attempt to do so, sometimes people say it's PR and it's this and it's that. I think sometimes 100% after a bad game and it comes out where it's like we go again and stuff like that, I don't really care for that. But when it's
or apologizing for giving away a pen and stuff like that.
I don't care for that. But when, like you said, if it was me, and I think of it from, if this was me in this situation, if someone was putting things out there that I knew for a fact were not true, and they were kind of questioning whether it was my character or whatever it may be, you absolutely have a right to come out and defend yourself. And then, like I said, then people will say, well, it's not even you typing that, or it's PR teams, it's this, it's that. What can you do? What can you do? Because I heard the response to that the other day of when Rashford came out with the Christian Folk thing, and they said, why is Maguire coming out and saying that? And it's like, okay, if Harry Maguire came out and responded to the Christian Folk thing, would you believe him? If the answer is no, then what is the point? Because it's already been made. And like you said, I think sometimes there is a threshold where you go, enough's enough. And again, it's not me saying Harry Maguire, he absolutely should be the captain. It's terrible, this kind of stuff. No, I think there absolutely are better options at the club, but there's also the truth, and then there's fiction, and then there's finding your way to it, in my opinion.
100%.
Super chat on the screen as well, by the way, from Tabarez says, 2 legends in the house, big up. Do you consider yourself as a legend, Flex?
Maybe not a legend yet. But
no,
appreciate
prefer
that.
sort of icon. I'll get there in the end, Andy Mitten was from the next question, said, the players are prepared. Are you prepared for the occasion and the atmosphere when it comes to Leeds? Big rivalry, of course. What rivalries can you draw from football? And Ralph said, if there's ever any discussion whether this guy is not transparent when unnecessarily, he went, I didn't even know it was a rivalry until a few weeks ago. Some colleagues indicated it was one of the biggest rivalries in the Premier League. But I've also had quite a few local derbies in Germany. Spoke about Schalke and Borussia Dortmund, etc. He said, I think our team and players have so much experience in this atmosphere, it will raise our performance and level of performance. Mentioned about playing Leeds behind closed doors last year, saying it's the first full stadium game between the two at Ellen Road in about 15 or 20 years. It's great. People prefer to play in a sold-out stadium. I'm looking forward to it. What did you think when he said, I didn't even know it was a rivalry until someone mentioned it a week ago?
Like, I did think, Ralph, just pretend that you knew, man. Just only because not because I'm gonna go overboard and say, like, see, this is what I mean. We ain't even got a manager who knows what a serious game it is. Like, whatever, man. He's an interim manager from who actually, like we've said, to be fair, hasn't even managed like at the top level for long periods and won big trophies. He's not that guy. He's a firefighter. He's a football guy. The fact that he didn't know it was a big game, I was a bit like, oh bloody hell, only you, Ralph.
Yeah,
But
why
I
would you
was
say
like,
that?
just say yes, big derby game, and players will be just go around that one, just circumnavigate it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like you said, in true refreshing Ralph style, he's like, oh yeah, one of my colleagues did mention that to me actually.
And
yeah,
it
it's
reinforces the
massive.
point, doesn't it? It
Yeah,
reinforces the point of, like, you know, when some people say, "Ah, he's prepped by PR."
yeah.
If he was prepped by PR, you wouldn't say that, because the
No,
PR people would say, "Just say,
make sure
yeah,
you
you know,
tell.
it's a big deal," all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You would just go, "I didn't even know."
He's like just another game, mate. Like, I know how Leeds play. I've just been looking at the mechanics of the game. I know what Bielsa's about. I know how the players do this. I know how to do that, and I know what sort of game it's going to be for us. But then he did know that we hadn't played there for so long as well at Ellen Road with fans. So
Yeah.
he did. Once they told him it was a big game, obviously he must have got some more information. So he does know now, at least. At least he knows before the game.
Well, yeah, he's known the last week or so. His colleagues have
Yeah.
mentioned it to
Yeah.
him. And
But why?
again,
But it doesn't
okay.
matter. The players know. The players know they're playing Leeds. It shouldn't matter. You know, if the manager
Yeah,
knows or not.
I would think also that players, obviously, that are, you know, British or based over here for a while, they'll be fully aware of the rivalry. You know, maybe the players from overseas that aren't as aware, those players will let them know anyway. Even if they didn't, they would have. And they looking at social media, or you know, if they arrive at the ground, they'll know. You know, it's not a case of we're walking into Ellen Road at the weekend. Where it's like, I didn't expect that atmosphere. What is this, a rivalry? And they're like,
Exactly.
what? I
Yeah.
don't
It's
think
not
that
gonna
would
be
be
that.
the case. Fat Thor says, like to folks ratio is 1.1 to 5, as KG would say, rubbish. So be sure to smash a like on the like button. Nearly got 800 people watching, so be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe as well, bottom right hand corner. Road to 100k is
Road to
still
100K,
well and truly
man.
on.
Let's keep going, peeps.
The final question was from Simon Peach. Spoke about the atmosphere and the mentality of the group in recent weeks, being unable to perform over 90 minutes. How key is it to be raring to go from the start against Leeds on Sunday? Rangnick said, quotes, against Brighton, we were struggling in the first half to get the ball, but we must admit that Brighton did extremely well. That only changed in the second half when we took a risk and tried winning the balls in their half. This will be the same against Leeds, although they have a different approach. We have to be proactive. It will be a different game, as will Atletico and Watford. We'll have to take it one game at a time. So he actually spoke about Flex with the Brighton game. Essentially, he admitted first half rubbish, and second half it was a case of actually we played a bit better because we took some more risks and we started pressing a bit higher. I mean, it doesn't mention Paul Pogba, but Paul Pogba comes on and also helps with that effort.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, our record against Leeds, especially early on in the season, the game at Old Trafford last year, is good. They do concede a lot of chances. We're creating a lot of chances. I guess the only concern would be is that if we're not at it for 90 minutes tomorrow, then Leeds will also get chances too.
100%. They're capable of doing it. Remember the first one when it was 6-1 with no fans, when McTominay scored 2. We were like, that game could have been like 13-10 or something like that. That could have been a crazy scoreline if all the chances.
And McTominay scored early, didn't he?
He scored very, very early. Yeah, and then he got he got played ball through. Then he scored. Then he got one from a throw-in. I think Martial was involved in the throw-in, got on the ball, then he scored on with his left foot, I want to say, if I remember correctly. But there was a lot going on. It wasn't controlled. It was chaotic, and we were just clinical. Do you know what I mean? We were just bang at it, and it just went almost the same against them beginning of the season, where we went in 1-0 up, then they came straight out. Or no, did they score just before the half, and it was 1-1 at half time? Yeah, because Luke Ayling scored that wicked goal.
Luke Ayling scored a goal. I don't know if it was first half or second half.
I think it was second half.
1-0.
Second half, 1-1. But then we just went bang, 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 like just 3 quick goals. Like, do you know what I mean? So that's how usually the game goes against Leeds. And you have to put them to bed while you get your chances, because they never quite go away. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Oh, it was 1-0 at half time. Yeah, because then Luke Ayling came straight out and then put it in the top corner, didn't he? Or far corner, whatever it was. So in terms of how they play, you look at what he's saying about how we changed against Brighton in the second half. Obviously, McTominay and Fred get a lot of stick, whatever, etc., etc. But it was actually McTominay wins the ball off Basuma by going in on him and going tight, being proactive, forcing the mistake. Then Ronaldo gets the ball, then we score. Anthony Elanga does the same thing straight after kickoff, gets it off dunk, he gets sent off. So He's right. If that doesn't show us that we have to be proactive and make our own luck, make our own situations happen for us, then I don't know what will, especially against a team like Leeds who will be on the front foot running their asses off as well. So we have to be at it. If we think we're going to get an easy ride and not be intense and think we can just stroke the ball about and feel our way into the game, might be mistaken. It could be the other way around. It could be jamming it on us, pressing up really high. And, we're under the cosh a little bit, first 10, 15 minutes. Got to defend properly, be compact, ride that storm, because you do know if you can put a passage of play together, you will be through on goal sort of thing, or a clear chance. Do you know what I mean? So it's a lot of, we shouldn't be afraid to contain as well at some points when Leeds run around and do it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I think also, again, we know how much they're going to press us. We know their energy levels. And there's one thing to have an intense press on us, which there will be anyway, but that's going to be spurred on by the atmosphere there as well. So that first 10-minute press from Leeds is going to be
it's going to
really
be incredible, really intense.
Exactly.
And if they score in that, that's why it's important they don't get anything from that period of the game. Because
any point,
going
really.
1-0 down, well, at any point, but going 1-0 down in this fixture is going to be huge, because they'll have their tails up. You don't want them getting their tails up. You want them chasing the game and having to come at you even more and leave more space. And first goal we've got to get.
Exactly. And you look at even the fragility of, if we went 1-0 up and they do equalise, again, the crowd will be up, and we've seen how we've reacted to conceding that goal. And that's in sometimes an atmosphere that's been at Old Trafford, or that's been an atmosphere like at Burnley when they equalised. We completely capitulated. And again, that was a good atmosphere, but it won't be anything like a derby game at Ellen Road. No. So again, it's getting to that point of, okay, that's when you really have to be disciplined. And we haven't been disciplined in sticking to the game plan, right? Ralph said it so many times, stick to the game plan, plan. Realize where you're creating chances. And that'll be important as well tomorrow. So it's interesting because we talk about mentality and we talk about the sports psychologist tomorrow. If I'm
it's all at the test. It's all at the test, mate. This is it. And it kind of a bit of a criticism to the players. They're all saying that, we are together. We are united. We are fighting for the same cause. Big game Sunday. We're ready to go. If there's ever a game you need to show it, it's Leeds away. It's Leeds away.
Oh,
do you know what I mean? So
100%.
let's see how these players deliver. They've said what they've said on social media and squashed a lot of lies and stuff that's been going on. But actually, the more important stuff is what we see on the pitch, and can we see a good team performance against a difficult Leeds side?
Because ultimately, when you strip it down, look, it's a game, and if we win, you can be like, okay, right, what you want? We won, and we won midweek, and ultimately, we can talk about captaincy, we can talk about this, we can talk about that. Ultimately, what really matters at the moment is getting points and winning the game, because we still got to get fourth. So, and if we win against Leeds, that's back-to-back victories. That's despite those draws, that's still being unbeaten in a considerable amount of time since. When was the last game we lost? Was it Wolves? Wolves at the beginning of the year.
That's what you're looking at.
Even
that was technically a draw, but
you're looking at Wolves, and then you would say, well, actually, unbeaten since the beginning of the year, you're creating more chances, back-to-back wins. The outlook can look completely different.
It changes. The margins are so small,
Exactly. And I'm not saying, all of that, the Maguire stuff and all that disappears, because it doesn't. But I think that ultimately it's results. And we really don't want to be going into playing Atletico midweek after losing a derby game or capitulating, whatever, at Ellen Road, right? It's going to be interesting as well.
Don't paint that picture.
No, that's exactly.
Peak. That's peak.
Exactly. But look, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. Be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Flex, what's on tap tomorrow?
So we'll have the match preview tomorrow. We'll have that up probably about midday. So check that out, and then obviously leading into Sunday for the game, road trip settings going to be a tough one. Hostile atmosphere. They haven't played there for so long with fans. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great game to be at. Hopefully we win. And just a big up to everyone, actually, just quickly before we leave. If you are in the UK and stuff, just take care in the storm and stuff, man.
Absolutely.
My mum, I need to, my mum's had a bit of a to do, so I need to make sure she's all right. It's tough. So make sure you guys are, looking out for each other and just staying safe, because it's no joke. Still.
No, it's no joke at all. Those warnings are in place for a reason. And look, I mean, all over the UK, whether you're north or south. North, it was earlier in the week. South's been hit quite hard now. So stay safe. Check on your loved ones while you can. Help out where you can. And hopefully everyone will get through it all right. Fingers crossed. But anyway, guys, look, we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow. Speak to you again very soon. Peace.